大家好，今天我会讲一些关于 P320社区空间进行的社区工作，我们的摸索、实验，还有一些反思。我们的社区空间在进行的工作大致可以分成5个部分。第一个部分是收集地方历史、整理地方历史、采访年长的社区成员，记录他们的口述。因为我们认为马来西亚的历史书写过度偏重在宏大的叙事，关于社区、关于个人的历史记叙非常少，所以我们希望能够在这些方面做出一些努力，还有一些补充。第二个，我们主要在做的部分是为外籍配偶开办马来语课，协助他们掌握基础的马来语。马来语是马来西亚的国语，在我们居住的社区内有大量不同国籍的外籍配偶，由于不懂马来语，他们在生活上面对各种不同的难题。学习马来语可以协助他们扩大生活圈子，在日常生活上拥有更大的自主权。第三个部分，我们也尝试与社区里面的移工群体进行交流，收集各种各样关于移民的故事。在我们的社区内，有许多来自巴基斯坦、印度、印尼、缅甸、孟加拉等国家的移工。我们尝试把社区空间打造成一个对移工友善的环境，让他们可以前来这里交流，分享他们的故事。如果他们面对困难，也可以来这里寻求资源。第四，我们也把社区空间打造成一个让孩童、小朋友游乐休闲的地方。社区内的儿童和青少年是我们努力去连接的群体。我们为社区内的儿童办一些创作活动、一些体育休闲的活动，希望他们能够有健康丰富的生活，也可以对社区有更强的认同感。最后，我们也在社区空间推动各种不同类型的文化艺术类活动，比如艺术展览、艺术家的讲座、工作坊等等。这些活动除了面向社区内的成员之外，也尝试吸引更多社区以外的公众走进社区，促进更多不同类型的交流。上面提到的都是我们从2018年到现在，在这个社区进行的一些活动。下面我会讲一些关于我们在进行活动之中的一些反思。在进行上面提到的这些活动的时候，其中一个我们一直在思考的问题是，这些社区工作是不是太繁杂？它们之间的关联性是不是太少？我们是不是应该有所取舍，把精力集中在其中一些面向？比如说，收集地方历史、收集口述历史是我们最早投入的工作。我们会想，是不是应该更集中、更专注的做？这样会不会在工作内容的深度上取得更好的效果？不过在实践的过程中，我们也发现，其实同步进行这些工作有它们的意义还有价值。这些看起来好像没有关联的工作，它们之间的联系比我们想象中的更强。我们发现，同步的去进行这些工作，可以让我们的观察面更广、更全面的认识社区，看到社区的不同面向，也可以建立更多元的人际网络。比如说，当我们在采访年长者、收集他们口述历史的时候，我们可能会发现他们的身边也有一些移工群体，他们的家族成员之中也有一些外籍配偶，所以他们在讲述本身的成长史、家族史、生活史的时候，也会给我们提供很多额外的信息。这样多方面的关注给了我们不同的切入角度，让我们能够更好的掌握受访者生活的全貌，而不只是断裂的一小部分。另一方面，我们也认为各种社区工作同步进行，其实更符合社区成员的需要，而不只是为了我们自己个人的兴趣。在一开始设立社区空间的时候，我们设定的目标就是结合其他的社区成员， 共同经营一个包容多元的社区。所以可以这么说，当我们在考虑问题的时候，我们会把社区放在最前面，我们所进行的工作也一直是以符合社区的需求为原则。我们的空间的最主要定位也是一个社区空间，而不是一个艺术空间。我举一个例子，比如说为社区里面的外籍配偶开办马来语学习班，不是我们最初设定的计划。在刚开始设立空间的时候，我们更多的精力其实是放在整理地方历史。我们是在与不同社区成员的接触下，发现他们有学习语言的需要，所以才开设了马来语学习班。在开始开班的时候，马来语课选择的场地也不是这个 P320社区空间，而是一个方便外配姐妹们的一个民众会堂。后来我们也辗转使用过不同的地方作为上课的地点，这样的实践对我们来说是一个很重要的学习经验。它让我们意识到，是否使用我们的社区空间其实不是重要的事情，更重要的事情是我们能够给社区成员带来多大的方便，这个空间的存在是否能够真正发挥它的功能，在改善社区上引入一些新的资源。我们从外籍配偶的马来语课获得了很丰富的反馈。越南、柬埔寨、泰国的外配姐妹会告诉我们，他们在马来西亚大环境中面对的种种困难。最明显的就是他们面对的制度上的歧视，这让居住在马来西亚10多年的他们一直没有办法获得永久居民的身份。我们也从外配姐妹的口中了解到，过去20年来马来西亚与东南亚邻国之间的跨国婚姻模式，以及外籍配偶在文化适应上面对的问题。虽然在地理位置上，东南亚国家彼此靠得很近，可是在现实中，我们的教育体制、我们的主流媒体其实不怎么关注印尼、越南、柬埔寨、缅甸这些邻国的现状。所以我们对东南亚邻国的认识其实很浅很少，跟社区内的外籍配偶接触，让我们有更多的机会持续关注东南亚邻国的情况，也让我们有更强烈的一个意识到我们是社区的这个区域的一个共同体。然后通过这个外籍配偶的马来语课，我们又接触到了很多社区内的青少年还有小朋友，他们原本也不是我们优先关注的对象。在我们进行外配的马来语课的时候，很多外配姐妹会把他们的孩子一起带来上课。开始的时候，我们是让妈妈还有孩子们一起上课，但很快的我们就发现了这2组的学习者，他们的基础能力、他们的学习方式还有他们的需求都不一样，所以后来我们就把妈妈还有孩子分成2组，然后同步上课。通过与青少年还有小朋友的接触，我们也了解到社区内的学生们他们面对的各种的学习问题。其实现在社区内的小朋友还有青少年，他们跟城市的青少年一样，都面对很大的沉迷手机游戏、手机上瘾的问题。我们认为反复的提醒他们过度使用电子产品的坏处，其实并不是一个解决问题的有效方法。相反的，我们更应该做的是让他们有其他的休闲游戏的选项，培养他们多元的生活爱好和精神寄托。所以我们也将一部分的资源投放在青少年还有儿童的身上。现在除了为他们办一些活动之外，我们也为这些小朋友提供一些低收费的学习班，甚至是免费的学习班。我们也尝试把社区空间打造成一个青少年友善的空间，让他们经常可以来打发他们的时间。回过头来看，我们的各种社区工作好像互不相关，消耗了我们大量的时间，让我们没有办法更有纪律、更深入的去做最初想要做的社区历史的收集还有整理工作。 不过我们发现这些工作没有白费，我们从里面获得宝贵的经验还有资讯，也和社区的成员建立起友谊，这让我们能够更好的处在不同的位置，跟不同的社区成员建立感情，然后对他们产生同理心，可以从他们的位置去思考问题，这样也可以在社区工作上做得更好。好，所以最后我要讲的就是我们接下来社区空间会做的一些工作。基本上我们没有为自己设定一个期限，这个是我们生活的社区，我们住在这边，只要我们的条件允许，各种的社区工作就会按照我们自己的能力一直进行下去。而同时，我们尝试把各种不同领域的外部资源带进来，以促进更多的连接还有交流。因为我们知道，其实很多的社区问题、地方问题，并不只是地方问题，它可能牵涉到更大层面的国家体制问题，甚至是全球性的问题，比如人口老化、新移民问题。其实我们都需要通过更多元的方法去理解问题本身，才有可能提出应对的方法。这一次参与亚欧基金会SF 的赞助的这个交流，是我们做出的其中一些尝试，希望从不同地域的实践者身上可以学习，以便在我们自己本身的社区工作上可以做得更好。我希望我们的对话可以延续，然后在未来有更多不同类型的交流和合作。好，谢谢大家。Okay, that's the end of my presentation.
You speak a bit fast, but the translation is pretty good. 90%.
Okay.
90% translated.
Okay, I can show you some pictures. Okay, just a moment. This is the pictures.
I cannot see a picture.
Share document.
I'm still opening the file.
The Deutsche sind schnell.
Hi everyone. Hi Susie.
Hi.
Hi! Nice to see you again.
Happy to see all
Great
of you.
to meet you in this
Opportunity.
opportunity. Yes.
Hi Jay. Hi Chu Yen.
Hi, Stella. Hi.
Happy to see you. Wow.
Long time no see.
Hello Dominique.
Hello.
All knowing people.
Sorry, I hope that the translation made sense.
Yeah, you didn't read,
Translation is
man.
very good.
Thank you.
It's quite good. 90% correct.
Yeah. We could understand it.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Irene, can you speak in Cantonese and see whether it translates?
Me? You want to try
Can you
to?
speak in
可以
Cantonese?
做到 translate 咩？呢個廣東
你冇
話
睇咩？
可以試下。
I cannot. I didn't see any translation, Jay. How do you turn that on?
Oh, you have to go below above the more there. Show the subtitle.
Yeah, I did. I went to the subtitle, but
Then detect automatic detect or Chinese to English.
我試多次，我講多少少。大家好，
no, cannot.
Cannot. Only Mandarin
大家好。
because they have Mandarin, Japanese, and Thai.
next time next
No,
time。
it's not working. It's okay.
下次講中文，你同我翻譯。
No, I think I cannot.
Okay.
Can you see the picture?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
这个是我们访问当地的一些年长者的一些照片。 所以我们到现在为止大概访问了20多位70岁到80岁的社区里面的年长者。访问的内容包括了他们过去的工作，然后一些公共卫生的经验，然后他们的成长史，还有他们的家族史。这个是我们进行外籍配偶马来语课的一些照片。上课的包括了有越南的外籍配偶，有柬埔寨、泰国的外籍配偶，最近也有一些中国的外籍配偶。然后除了跟他们上课之外，其实我们也有很多的额外的活动，比如我们会一起登山，然后也会一起聚餐，然后分享一些生活上的一些乐趣，还有一些文化的交流。这些是一些移工朋友，然后来自巴基斯坦的，还有来自印度的移工朋友。那他们也制作了一些小小的纪念品，放在我们的社区空间里面。这些是跟当地的小朋友，还有一些外面来的小朋友一起进行的一些活动，包括了一些绘画的活动，或者一些传统游戏的活动。然后我们也会一起去骑脚踏车，然后了解社区周边的地理环境。这个是香港的朋友在这边的做的一个分享香港的活化厅，他们过去怎么去经营他们的社区。分享者是李俊峰，我想 Irene 应该认识。那时候他们在这边进行了一个 Zine 的一个展览。最近我们也做了一个小型的漫画原稿展，然后是一位插画家叫 Novia， 他在这边展出他的作品，然后也跟小朋友有一些制作手工的一个工作坊。这些是我刚刚提到的一些反思，就是我们其实到现在还是在想，我们是不是应该更集中在其中一些面向，然后做得更细致、更深入一些。好，这个是我刚刚提到的同步投入各种社区工作的好处。好，最后就是我们的未来计划，希望以后还可以把更多不同的外部的资源带进来，促进更多的连接和交流。
So are there any
Thank you.
any direct question for Kang in relation to his presentation? Then maybe
Why-
I
I have
Yes.
a direct question. Why do Vietnamese people need to find a refugee home in Malaysia?
These are actually the foreign spouse of Malaysian men. They are not refugees.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, they are not just Vietnamese foreign spouse. They are also Thailand, Cambodia, and China.
Mm-hmm.
Foreign spouse.
Different countries foreign spouses.
Okay. I understand. I didn't get it that right during the. All right.
But for Indonesia foreign spouses, they do not need the language lesson because they can speak Malay. Bahasa Indonesia and Bahasa Malaysia is quite similar.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, basically that's it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'd like to join
Hi.
in. Hello. Thank you very
Hi.
much for your talk. It was great to hear everything. I was busy trying to adjust to everything, reading, listening, watching. Und du hast Glück, dass natürlich kannst in einer Sprache reden, die übersetzt wird. This is why my mother tongue. I'm not as lucky as you that there is a translation for it, actually. So I have to go with English. Please excuse my broken English. I'm sort of, I would like to know more about the relation of working with the group. And I assume in any population, there are artists. So with the people you're working with, are there artists as well? And how is the production of interviews or collecting information? How does it correspond in the partnership of the ones who do an intervention and the other ones who are part of the group?
Okay, I will try to answer in Chinese maybe. And you can
But
read the translation.
slow.
Okay,
Otherwise,
sure.
while reading and thinking, it's too fast. Thank you.
在我们合作的对象里面，有一些是艺术家，就比如说之前我们请过香港的艺术家朋友过来，就像
Translation.
Okay, translation now.
我们请过香港艺术家朋友过来，然后在之前我们也请过插画家他们过来做一个驻村的一个创作，然后也在这边做一些田野的调查。有一些艺术家，然后 J 之前也来过这边做访问，然后在这边住过2-3天啊，所以艺术家是其中一个参与的成员。不过除了艺术家之外，很多不同类型的人，比如有一些他们是社区的经营者，有一些是社区的工作者，然后还有一些他们可能是NGO 的成员也有。好，他们可能一向以来都有关注一些难民、关注一些移民的课题的学者也有，我们也接待过来自台湾的学者。最近我们在合作的一些对象都是一些从事社区经营的朋友。社区经营大概有点像是placemaking 的一些概念，最近比较流行。不管是在日本也好，在台湾也好，然后现在在马来西亚，我们也尝试去学习这样的一个概念，用各种创意的方式去带动这个地区的发展。除此以外，就很多是当地的朋友。当地的朋友其实他们也来自不同的背景，各种各样的背景都有。他们有一些可能是比如神庙的理事，可能是一些工会的成员，也可能是一些政党的一个基层的成员都有。然后我们的交流都是按照那个就各自用各自的一个专长去配合合作，然后看怎么样可以呈现一个东西。
Okay, so I tried to translate. So what, Kang, you correct me if I said wrongly.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, we work with not just artists, but we have invited artists before, for example, from Hong Kong, that's Lee Chun Feng, and then also to do some comic activities. And Jay has also visited us and stayed for 3 days to do some interviews and research. So artists are part of our participants, but we also work with community workers, NGO members, and also scholars who come to study about the community. And recently, quite a lot of community place-making activities have been taking place, where we try to use creative ways to develop the community. So among our local friends, also they come from very different, diverse backgrounds. For example, they may be working in temples, or they may be working with political parties. They also come and do various activities with us. Is that correct, Kang?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Dominic, has that answered your question?
Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry, Kang, I want to ask a question. So the activities that you do, I think that you are mainly also facilitating between your external resources, right? Your 外边的资源 and the migrant community, the foreign spouses, yeah? But what about the local community itself in general? Do they also take part in your activities? So if they are not your guests who have come to initiate some activity and they are not your target community, for example, the wives of the foreign spouses, other than these people, so other people, do they also join in your activities?
其实也有一些不同的群体，他们会进来，然后做一些不同类型的合作。不过我暂时想不到一个很明确的例子。然后比如最明显的就是一些旅游的杂志，新加坡的旅游杂志，他们来过这边，然后介绍这个2号公路的一些旅行的路线，然后还有一些各种各样的，比如最近是很多网络的 app， 他们也是在推广一些地方旅游业，他们也会走进来，然后就跟我们拿资源，或者是跟我们交流啊。
Okay. So what Kang says is that there's recently been quite a bit of journalists who come in to try and promote local tourism, who's been working with the community.
This is because the urban village where Kang work is exactly along the way between the city of Singapore and the city of Kuala Lumpur. So any person who travel on the road will pass Kang place, and they actually have a small touristic enterprise. There are a few business there that actually being set up to attract all these kind of tourists to the place. So there's a lot of murals, painting, art installation in the village.
Yes, and it is before the COVID-19 pandemic. Now it's quite bad.
Very, very good. So I will keep my question to the end for all the participants together, and we can now move on to Susie. Susie, are you okay?
I'm okay. Just a minute. I have to get the PowerPoint
Okay.
somehow on the. I have to open it. Just a minute. Jack. So, and then I go here. Then I go there. No, I go first. Just first I go here. No, the other one. Then I have to share it. I'm still kind of lost in all this stuff. Yes, it's there. Here. Okay. Okay. Yes. Here we go. So first of all, I want to thank everybody. Now the language is a little bit strange. I have a feedback. Can you hear the feedback too?
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's some kind of feedback. Now it's better. Okay. I like to thank everybody to participate here in this beautiful conference, and it's a pleasure to see Jay again. It's a pleasure to see Tsetsek again. Really, thank you for all of this. So I want to speak a little bit about what I did in the last 2-3 years, mainly since 2017. I somehow started to work together with migrants, refugees that came to Germany after 2015. There was a big wave from the Middle and from the Near East. And so I talk about more or less 4 points: the actual COVID situation in Cologne, Germany, and one piece, umbrella talks, kaleidoscope, and this what we are doing right now. So I am living in Cologne, and sometimes in Spain. I'm kind of going forth and back for family reasons. And right now the work basically is in Cologne. So the actual COVID situation really made it very difficult for the last months for artistic interaction in public spaces. In the beginning, it was okay, but then it turned out to become very bad. And so German rules and regulations are changing permanently. And the acceptance that the virus can cause major health problems is really mixed. So nevertheless, there have been activities. I tried to get out in distance, of course. This basically worked with non-migrant people, I must admit. So a kind of group of performers, we usually meet once a week in parks and do performance in public space. The trumpet on a tree, the dancer on another tree. So we have been always been quite a lot apart, and nobody could say anything. Unfortunately, the COVID situation had a big impact on the work with refugees from Syria, Iraq, Iran, and other countries. And performances, workshops in this context have been one of my focus in 2007, since 2017. The distance, the idea of distance, which is a big issue, also has become artistically a big issue in the last year, has also a cultural and social impact. So social and physical distancing, not having tea and food together, for example, is hard to accept, especially for people that come out of situations that I, for myself, raised in Germany, living in Europe, I have never been in a really bad life danger. So the virus for us, I have for people in Europe, I have the feeling sometimes is much more a big thing than people that are really running for their lives. And so there is this causes a problem sometimes. And the other problem is that people don't have good access to equipment. So online activities are, of course, there are chats on the telephone, but that's basically it. The language courses are closed, meeting points like cafes as well, and this is activities have been since April 20 have been forbidden, more or less. Quite a lot of people lose their jobs right now because they live in they have jobs that are bad paid, and these jobs will disappear at first. So they are in a stress situation, which makes it even more difficult to meet, because then they all of a sudden have a job and they cannot come. And what do? So we try to stay in touch and meet in small groups. In 2017, I started a series, Umbrella Talks, 1 to 3, I will call it. And it started with an idea that was very simple. It was raining. I went outside. I had the umbrella, and I was standing there. And a person came to me and asked me if he could stand with me under the umbrella. And we started talking to each other. So after a while, I went in. I gave him the umbrella, and when I came out again, three quarters of an hour later, there were other people standing under this umbrella talking to each other. And by this, I thought, well, this could be an idea to establish a small space where people can communicate. The project started in cooperation with the Bürgerzentrum Alte Feuerwache in Cologne. This is a socio-cultural center where we established in 2017 the Café Connect. It's a place where people that escaped from political oppression, war, and poverty in their home countries and recently have arrived in Germany can meet with people from the city that live there since longer. And the idea is personal exchange, get help with administrational and language problems, drink and cook together, very important part, play games, and art. How about art? So I was asked to do something, and I established the Umbrella Talks 1, 4 minutes in the dry. So we walked out on the streets. We talked to more or less, unknown people, visited museums together, come back to the cafe to drink and eat. And then I had a question, where are the girls and women? I still haven't solved this well. The idea of the Umbrella Talks is like under the umbrella, a small space that is secure. It's a moment of privacy in the public. Have a break, small talk, exchange with a person you do know, you do not know. You can sing a song together, you can smoke, look at the street, watch others. To be together under the umbrella gives privacy, and at the same time, some distance to what happens outside. And out of this secure little area, there is a view at the life around. And at the same time, we are part of the whole in the community of the city. So this is the basic idea of this. Here we have a picture. So this is a outing to the museum. This is the cafe, Café Connecting. So there was always, it's every Thursday it used to be. Now since a year it's closed as well. There's no way. Down here we made t-shirts. They were very, everybody liked the t-shirts as usually. This is André. He worked with me together as a while on this project. He works in an NGO now in East Timor right now. So after this, which was basically a social project, I went a step further. And in the following, we developed Umbrella Talks 2, Fishing for Flowers. Fishing for Flowers. Yes, this was my title. It came up that some people really have been more interested in doing artistic work. And so we did together workshops and a small final show open for friends and the public audience. The interest in working on performance and dance techniques of a group of people led to the next step. Umbrella Talks, just a piece of paper. Why just a piece of paper? A piece of paper is always really important if you live in a society. You are dependent on all kind of administrational stuff, and especially coming from a foreign country, you need all kind of papers. And so we took the title, and some of the persons of the previous experiment came out as amateur actors, dancers, and together with 2 more professional dancers and musicians, we did regular rehearsals and early work in progress outings on the street. So this was really, it started to go into artistic work. I said about it, I already told about this, a piece of paper, and it came out to be a boat. For example, there have been several people that came by boat to Germany. A letter, which has been very important for one who wrote a letter to his mother, and she received it 1.5 years later. A canvas to illustrate the expulsion. This was a girl from northern Iraq. She really, she lost her brother in the sea, and she painted all this on a canvas. It was really moving. A newspaper, a sheet to get an important stamp on, and much more. So fantasy was growing according to this, and I must say we had a lot of fun. Also, because I was thinking what kind of technique I can work on, and as a basic movement technique, I established the contact improvisation, which was a little bit strange for some people at the beginning, especially for those that come from basically Muslim countries, because contact improvisation, you get each other quite near, you touch each other, even if you don't know each other. And if there are women and men at the same time in the group, this makes it even more difficult. The work was shown as a work in progress outside in public space. So we went out to the street or in the yard or in front of small cultural centers. We participated in art events in the city, and we did it as a whole show in the Rautenstoch Museum, Cultures of the World in Cologne. Here are some images. So this is an example of the contact improvisation. Here up there, right up, this is in front of, it's in Mülheim. It's a small cultural center where we performed outside, or we did a work in progress. And down, this is one of the shows in the Rautenstoch Museum, in the entrance hall, in front of this wonderful rice granary. There is an Indonesian rice granary that was renovated by people from Sulawesi in 2011, something like this. Maybe I'm not so right with the year. And it's standing there. It's really impressive, this. As a place of gathering in Indonesian culture, it is a perfect spot to gather and to do artwork. So here we are with the umbrellas. We we used it as an equipment, as a piece of color, as an object. 1 year later, we went to one step beyond. I tried to emphasize the artistic work a little bit more. Within the group of people, there has developed now some participants that really wanted to do more. And some of them have been making art in their home countries. There is one who was who is very well in martial arts. I have an Iranian comedian who had to. This was one of the reasons why he had to leave Iran, and so we were working more on an artistic show, and we came to Kaleidoscope in 2019. The main question of Kaleidoscope for me and for the group was, how is it possible to make room for community sense in the broken, multicolored prism of a modern Western society? It is really a prism. So I took the umbrella, the mirrors, as an object to play with it. And how can we reach togetherness by individual freedom? This is one of my basic questions in my work in general. The view through a kaleidoscope at oneself and at the actual society as a play of visions. While in the work before, we worked very much on the direct experiences of the expulsion, I thought we have to work on vision now. And let's look through a kaleidoscope, let's look through mirrors, and let's dream what could be, how it could be. So the show or the work, Kaleidoscope, is about a diversity in life, filtered through the world of dreams and imagination. And this is something where people can meet wherever they are from and can have a good time together, which is important, to have a good time together. On the basis of Umbrella Talks, there has grown a team of dancers, musicians, and amateur actors that goes this step beyond towards an artistic achievement. And the stories at the pulse of wishes, talk, song, and dance. As before, we did performances in public spaces of the city, on the street, in a work in progress, at the museum again, and at several theater spaces and gallery spaces. So here are some pictures. Zook, on the left side, outside, right top. This is from a show in the theater, and down there is a rehearsal photo. This group has become really to a point where we were going for more. And personally, as well as artistically, we have been at a point where we could start through. And COVID-19, I must say, broke a lot in this, because of it was really not possible to meet. It was not possible to do rehearsals. Or if we can do rehearsals, it is very restricted. And I just started now in April to do work again, encouraged by a colleague and a refugee who used to work with me, Jabbar Abdullah. He came to to Germany in 2015 from Syria. He used to work with me basically as a translator and cultural guide a little bit in this field. And he is an archaeologist and writer. And he had the idea, let's do a project with the title Museum for All, which gives us a chance to work on integration, not only by language courses, not only by helping with the basic necessities, but also by getting people to see cultural exhibitions, theatre of the country where they are living in now. So we are starting with this right now. And in, I think, next month, we it's planned to do a little show in the museum again. And we will start rehearsals next week. I'm going back to Cologne next week. So that's basically it. And now I'm finished.
Okay, thank you. Susanne. Thank you. Does anyone have a question? Does anyone have an urgent question? I will reserve my question at the end for round discussion. Sekar, you want me to play your video, right?
No, thank you. Because now I can share my presentation first.
Okay.
Then if you have a time, we could see the video, because the video is 50 minutes long.
Okay. Go share your son.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, should I have to the full screen? The changes. All right, I think it's okay, right?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much for giving this opportunity, and I'm really happy to see all of you again. So many knowing people, and really it's very inspiring me to work more along, more forward, more strongly. So I choose the corruption subject because I would love to share with you about the 4 reasons why I choose about this. Since 2019, I was more working about the democratic values to sharing for the youth. So it's really related for my work with the corruption too. So the reason why I really wanted to share is firstly, the corruption is everywhere. Now I feel that in every step of my living days, it's in everywhere, and it actually really affected to my life and with all the society too. So the secondly, Asia Foundation created the many different surveys of corruption. So the last corruption survey, it shows that in 2019 the population seems that the corruption is already high level in corruption. So since then, the corruption is still increasing, and it's non-stoply in Mongolia. So I'm feeling that we are sinking into the corruption, because like in the daily life now the people's mindset has that the corruption is a common thing and everybody wants to be have a higher position, especially with the government organizations, because if you can get it, you have a lot of support, you have better life. So this is like a systematic of corruptional, the biggest ocean we have, and we're thinking now. So the third reason that I want to share is, as a young citizen, I would love to raise my voice to do something about this, because of course the corruption is a very huge subject. We are very small about that, but if there is anything we can do, even for a small step, I would love to try it rather than do nothing. So the fourth reason is, it's also related to my work, because I'm an independent curator since like it's around a decade now. So I'm working in a community art projects, then that's related about the corruption too. So I would love to share about my past experience of, I can just collected some of my public art projects. In 2013, International Youth Forum, I curated the public like artivism event. So we made the biggest logo on the main square. Then between the the big logo, we put it the Mongolian traditional yurt. Then outside of the logo, all of the participants of this international forum, they could gathering together, they could just paint together and building the logo. And inside of the gear, I mean the yurt, we put it some installation, working with the artists and using the Mongolian traditional the symbols as for, it's very related with the myth. And we're asking to the why democracy, like why democracy needed, what is that? Then the people express themselves, like what is the values of democracy and what we can do, and any kind of expression all together, put it together in this the paper lanterns. Then also we invited the calligraphy artist, and she could write down the Mongolian traditional script for what they want to write or what they want to keep it. And another project is between 2012, for we did it 2 years. It is a public art festival. It's kind of new movement in Mongolia at that time, because we gathering for street art artists, like we just gathered street artists and give them space for inside of the Design Park Art Zone Center, because on that time we were running for the Design Park Art Zone Center. It's like an open space for the artists and the youth and also for the families. So we made the biggest mural together, and lot of it, on the time there were around 80 to 90 like young emerging artists participated, and they worked together as a group to expressing about the politics or the life of views, what they really want to raise their voices, the concepts. And then the next year we just continued the festival, and then we just changed the location. We choose some popular locations, like very busy streets. Then we made the big murals together with gathering different artists, also with international artists too. And another project is around the idea started in 2014, because we just before we worked with the artists, but the artist is artist, the art is art. So it's just sometimes it's a little bit difficult to like gathering with the public, like ordinary people or just families or family who live far from the city center, they couldn't participate in the event. So then after we thought like, okay, we have to gathering for the families and just more about working with them. Then we collected the card box that we can give to the card box to the families. Then they could make their own wishes to how they want to change their life. Then they can just like visionary, like the visually create the houses. Then later on we collected back to the all of the card box houses together. Then we make a moving exhibition in different places, in a public area, in the library, and the hospital, and also private galleries. That's the one of the project. And lastly, we initiated the open space for public project. This is for about also focusing for the families, because the parents are busy, so the children, we don't know how they nurture or what they think. It's a little bit gap over there because of this busy lifestyle. So we can just try to gathering the families and done many different workshops about the society, about the family, about the issues, and any different kinds. It was a very long project. Okay, so the examples are like that. So I'm just asking for myself, what can I do? What can we do? And like, really, if there is anything we can do, we would love to try, right? So there's some solution we not found it yet, but we just still have some ideas of solution that, okay, there's in a younger generation like me, around 30 to 40, they really feel about the society changes. It's really affected them and some ways harm them for life. So we want to involve for solving that society, some kind of social issues. But the more younger generation, around like young under the 25 years old generation, they really don't care about what's going on in the society, or what is the corruption. Okay, corruption exists, so what, right? So if we understand the corruption is already affected to our lives, why not we could start from ourselves. So what can we do? So for me, and personally, like, I don't want to wish to the same or even worse future for my children. And because it's getting worse and worse, we feel every day. So I can just planning to do the public awareness program, because it is based on the fairy tales. Like in Mongolia and tradition, that all children really love fairy tales, and it has to be like keeping the tradition. The parents need to nurture by fairy tales to them, to what is life and how we can live, what is your future, and a lot of different concepts to give to them. So in our traditional, fairy tales are very like very strange for this modern time, because most of the fairy tales are about like poor and rich people. The rich people are bad, like poor people is generous, and always like that, some kind of very strange ideas if we see from this angle from today. So we have an idea that we can change the fairy tales as a more like modern way, but it needs to be including the ideas of the corruption. What is that? What is the society? What is the issues, and how you can adapt them, how you can treat them. It's like we could change it. And also we could now, during the COVID time, it's very good chances to using the online. So we can create the online audio fairy tales based on these democratic values and other subjects. So the lastly, I would love to say that for now, the Mongolian young generation is more awakening. They would love to change, do something, and that. So that's why we need to collaborate together and understand each other. If we gather together, we could have more power on that. So I would love to share the young, not me, but the other young people who already made some changes. Like it's kind of like basement of good solutions, as I see. So the first one is the open data source. The founder, sadly, he passed away the last month, but he created the very precious gift to the society. It's an open data lab. He saw the like Gear district areas, all of the problems, and he couldn't find any kind of specific information from the area, from where. So he lost. Then he collected the information and he made it for the open data lab for all of the open data source for public about the issues, about the mining, who is the mining owners. It's a very good collected data that we have now and is still growing. So the second one is Youth Policy Watch NGO. The very young, enthusiastic guys are really, giving the awareness of the public, especially for the young generation, as what is the voting, how is it important, what is the political system, and why we need to gather about that, why need to understand. They actually do very good campaigns during the last 5-6 years, as I know. And the third one is Asia Foundation, and also for Mongolian Independent Authority of Against Corruption. They together made the website of hamta.mn. Hamta means together, so together we can change the society and overcome the corruption. So they made a lot of different surveys and the different workshops. So that's the good process as we see it. Okay, last but not least, for now, what I'm seeing is we have some hope for change, because in our team is quite strong because of you have a very good facilitators from internationally, and thank you so much for that. And also for in our you have a gathering with the artists and also all the different NGOs who really strictly to work over there and very brave, and the young professionals too. So if we have a time, I make a video. I made meetings with the young professionals, 3 young professionals. They could share about the corruption solutions more that way. Okay, so that's all for me. Thank you. I can stop sharing. Okay. Resilience and mutual independence. We're going to talk about corruption in Mongolia. I invited 3 special guests today.
In Mongolia, they have such a deteriorating results with the corruption index. So, which means year by year we are having corruption, and it's already influencing not only limited by the governmental organization as well as the private sector. So it may also affecting to shrinking the big space, and to the high level of the corruption, it also already showing its malpractice the governance system. Election by election, especially after the parliament election, there is a new government formed by the ruling party, and it also gives malpractice to change public servants regarding their political opinion and the political views. So it causes governance crisis due to this corruptive practice in public service. In addition to that, the high level of corruption also causes other malpractice that can be part of culture of organization in the private sectors. For instance, in order to have a project supported by the government or state organizations, the private companies are sometimes, according to some judicial adjudications, shows that they are offering some amount of money from the project funding in order to gain the opportunity to conduct and implement the project or contest the initiatives. So that shows that corruption is already mainstream, not only in the public service as well as private sectors. We can see that public service, including health, education, social welfare, station, and border control as well, seems like opportunity are not equal to all. For instance, according to the constitutional norms, we are all equal before law, and we have a right to engage in a public affair, and we have even a right to social welfare and protection. However, in the grassroots level, in reality, it's like we are part of the lottery. If you are lucky enough, then you can give public service like kindergarten to your children, or seats to your pupils in the public schools, or you will have a more opportunity like rations provided as a social welfare service, etc., or child money.
Okay, thank you. In the past 14 years, the top
Okay, I think I can just briefly sharing the ideas is about, like, in Mongolia the corruption is increasing because of these all of the positions. If you want to find some work position, it's very hard to find. If you're talented, it doesn't matter if you're talented, educated, etc. You really need to find the corruptive ways to find your living for work. It's something about like that. It's more then the people, the professionals share their solutions about like professional ways. So yeah. For the long story short, it's like that.
Okay. we go now to a full discussion, and you also can ask Seka some question to her presentation. I have some questions for Seka. The questions are, there are a lot of people supporting this anti-corruption movement. So, are they going to make something concrete? For example, press, accountability platform, where they will put all new information about something that gone wrong openly, to challenge those who are doing this corruption, or is there some structure like some other country they have an anti-corruption police? Are you asking the politician to organize an anti-corruption police? Do you have something concrete, or you're just now getting a lot of public support, building up to public support?
Actually, we have many different surveys. Actually, the international organizations work in corruption of Mongolian situation very well. They analyzed. They try to find a solution, but there's all in the paper now. Because nobody doesn't want to change the system because it's very effective for them. Actually, the Mongolia has a dominancy of two main parties, political parties. It's actually the play of those parties. If you are one of the party member, you'll have some choices to living better. But if you don't want to choose that two of them, you have very limited access of possibilities. So for now, the young people try to change the society as of corruptional issues. But the international survey already shows that we need the political party funding law. But nobody want to accept that because the political parties against that, of course. And because political parties, like politicians or the higher position of the governmental organization people, they sell the positions. They have authority, they have a power to sell it, power to manage it. So that's why the people don't want to change. And actually, it's already in their mindset. If I have to do something, or if I find a better job, I have to give some gift or something, some tips, I don't know, something. Then the other person who is receiving also the same mindset. So that's why we see that.
This is not my question. My question is that, are you doing something concrete? That means establishing organization to able to control or to talk about it and make them answer to it. Are your activist group of young people, NGO, are you all going to make something concrete?
Yes, we try. We are trying because that's why the young people try to do something as a concrete result. I mean, but it's still we don't have that enough power yet. But we have hopes. And
hope
we have some years.
Hope is lousy. Hope is just stop. That means you are very energetic. The young people are energy. Look, you also a lot of energy. So how do you create a third? Because the two parties, they are not going to help you. The two parties not going to help you. So why don't you create a third party or independent media platform? Can you?
We can. there are small new parties. They have time to grow as we see it, because everything has a time, and it's starting and ending. So, but for just recently, now we can't do anything for change. We're just like an echo. We're like a small dots to like screaming to the top, but no one hears. But this situation is, if we do something step by step, non-stoply, then the situation will change, of course, the generation by generation. So that's why we're just not like I say.
Okay.
That's why we're just trying to do something going forward.
Okay.
For my ear. So the question is from Dominique. The art market is actually stuck for recently because we have very few artists. We only have like over 3 million people in the population, and the artist is around like 1,500, but actively maybe 800 artists. So the artists, everybody knows each other. So especially for the art collectors, know some artists and they can just collect. Then they don't need to more buy from works from there again, like that. And the corruption is the related for the artworks too, because like politicians, they really love art. They could collect the art, then they can using the artworks as a money laundry, as a one part. We don't know if the corruption is a hidden process, so it's very unclear for us. But the art market is. Did I understand your question well, Dominic? Because you asked that. Say something about art market in Mongolia and the corruption, right? Okay. So in generally, the corruption is affected to every corner of this Mongolia now, as we see today. Thank you.
Okay. So
I have a question.
I have a question. No, there is two questions from Kang to you.
Okay.
So the question,
For the question.
the question from Kang. The question from Kang is that, can you have deep question with the migrant on ideology, on religion? Can you have this kind of deep question, because he does not have this opportunity to go to this topic?
After a while, yes. After a
How
while,
long?
yes.
How long?
Let's say it takes like a few months, half a year to get comfortable with each other. It's a question of trust. It's really a question of trust. So after a while, when you have done things together, and over the doing, with the doing comes the trust and the knowing each other, and then you can enter question into this direction. And sometimes I realize, okay, there is a limit, and I have to accept this. I had the biggest problem I have, according to this, is if it comes to family and women. If they come from Muslim communities, it is sometimes really rather sad because young girls that start working with us all of a sudden don't come anymore. And I found out that family members came to watch them and didn't like it, something like this. So I haven't got beyond this problem, I must say, but I intend, and little by little and step by step, and it requires lots of patience according to this. One example also, what is always a little crucial right now, especially, is if it comes to ideology and religion and politics, it happens that conflicts the people have had in their home countries, they take them over to, let's say, Cologne, or to Germany, or to Spain, or to Europe in general, and they get into fight about exactly the same issue here. And I always try to moderate, to be very diplomatic, to say, okay, this place here is not a place to go on with this conflict. If you, we are living here in a more or less democratic society where you can say what you want to say, but don't offend the other. This doesn't work. I had an example, a Kurdish girl, a very good artist also. She is a great painter. At the end of a performance, she raised her fist and said, "Free Kurdistan." Okay, I am personally completely, I can go with this. But in the context with the Arabian colleagues in the group, it caused a little bit trouble, you know? So these are, but to answer your question, it is possible. It needs a very diplomatic way, a lot of patience and time. So, yeah. I have a question for Flower. Can I do this?
Yeah, please.
Two questions. One question is, how big is the impact of the People's Republic of China in Mongolia, politically and financially? And how does this kind of has an influence maybe on the society, on the living, on art, on everything?
Because the big country, the neighbor country, so all of the suppliers from the China, we have some small factories over here in the locally, but the other implements of the suppliers from the China too. So we really depending from China politically and financially, especially financially. So, and also it really affects, and the Mongolia is located in the between of Russia and China, so also from Russia, Russian influence too. So we just sometimes, mostly like the politicians need to choose which way we need to follow. Do we need to follow the Russian politicians or more collaborate with them, or Chinese? Then it's always like not competing, but it's very hard the decision making. Sometimes it's against each other, some part. So that's why it's really affected our lives too, especially for the governmental decisions. Does that make sense? Thank you, Susie.
May I ask a little question as well, more? We got to know each other, I think it was 2018 when I came, or when I had this beautiful, wonderful short visit in your country. And according to what Jay asked, what are you concrete doing? I came to do something. And I think what we did in this 10 days was, for me, it was amazing because those people, the dancers that came over, they were so wonderful, skilled in as well their ethnic dance, in all kind of, let's say, classical, contemporary, and along this way there was a great possibility to work. And I think having such little spots and doing it and going outside is important, and it's one thing to show that you can do something beyond beyond corruption, maybe, or beyond political thinking, by sharing each other's skills. The one coming from here, the other one coming from there. They probably knew each other because I think the dance community is not that big. But I think it was a wonderful experience also by going finally out to the countryside and to present it there in a way. So thank you again for giving me that chance to do this. And I thought these are things that can be done. Yeah.
Thank you, Susie. And thank you, Jay, also, because of the Jay we found you, Susie.
Yeah, I think Jay.
Okay. For me, my question is that it's not just simply doing something, because that something must be very directed, the artwork. Otherwise, all this artwork hanging in the gallery and all that, because they are always making social comments. So the art making, the process of art making, and also the process of social activities like cooking together, eating together, it has to target very specific issue. And sometimes I find that it's better not to deal with verbal communication, because the verbal communication is very direct. Like you say, this girl put her face and say something to Kurdistan, because this verbal communication can most of the time be very threatening, because it's a direct. When you say something, you ask something, it's like asking you direct. Why don't you do this? Or my freedom is this, my this. So the artwork, whether it's dancing or social work, cooking, getting together, have to target something that asks about their individual subjectivity. It means that their individual construction of their identity. Why do they choose to be like this? And why do they have to be so strong in that they cannot hear the other people speaking? So the artwork has to be in this way. The art making, the social interaction, as to in the way that draw out this statement, this identity statement, political statement, but in a third person form. That means it's not direct. It's not I say to you, but I say something is there. So other people in the group can look at this thing like something shouting, someone's shouting for freedom, shouting for something. They don't feel that it's directed at them. They don't feel like the girl who wants freedom for Kurdistan. Then the other Turkish people, the Arabian people, should not feel that it threatens them, that they have something. Can we do artwork in this way? My question. Or can you promote artwork in this way?
Thank you, Jay. Is that the question? So can you promote the art in this way? Artwork. Sorry, you unmute.
There was a question, right? The question is that can you use art activities to make in a way, but it's not direct, it's not confrontation.
Yes, I understand.
So, but at the same time, you ask them so that the other people can see this tension, this anxiety, this trauma in the girl. For the girl need to shout out that free Kurdistan or that, but without feeling threatened. No, without feeling the aggression in that question. So the artwork has the social interaction to come also. Can he make social interaction where through the social interaction, the religious difference come out, the ideology difference come out, and then everybody look at it, this ideology difference, this political difference, this religious difference. Can we discuss it without being attacked?
Yeah, actually, it's a very good suggestion because we can promote the artists as that way to produce the artwork, of course. And also there are the emerging young artists also wants to express themselves as an anti-corruption or just anti-politicians like that. But for now, from your talk, I can understand we need to gathering about them and also more, not facilitating, but work with them as that way to support. Because the artists are working mostly in individually, not the gathering very small groups together. But in Mongolian, the one of the differences because of the nomadic, people are more like individually living and working. They're just a family by family, but they are living very far from the countryside. So that means in our mindset, it's a little bit hard to working together as like a full team, especially for the artists. I agree. So so for now, I'm more thinking about that. How can I gathering them to supporting to that way to produce the artwork. So thank you. We could do that. We have some. Of course we can do that. We'll try.
Kang have a question for you, Can you want to read in the chat box?
Yes.
Yeah, I read it.
So is there any risk for you to organize anti-corruption movement?
Yeah, how is the response from Mongolia government? The one way in 30 years ago, we changed our we changed it into the democracy, so very peacefully. So then since then people understand democracy is full of freedom. You can say whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, like that. So I think it's too much. It's like not controlling over. So the one way we have full of freedom to express yourself. But for now, the people are more understanding about this society as a part of. They could a little bit afraid about or just worried about the future. If I do this very brave movement, I'm not sure. I'm not guaranteed for my children or not guaranteed for my future. It's not too much dangerous, but a little bit restriction. Yes, it might be.